Hello and welcome to Warframe. My name's Todd, also known as MajMech, and this is of course a Warframe. Last time we left off completing the Sedna Junction, and here we are. This time around we're going to be talking a little bit about the Easter stuff that's been released, and of course completing the War Within, which is very important.
Did you hear that?
So before we
It
get into
said
anything else, let's jump straight to the Easter stuff.
cosmic background radiation
Of
is
course.
a riot.
As with every Easter, you get the Easter color palette, which you should definitely pick up because it's a free color palette. We also get the Lupus headgear, which I would buy, except for the War Within's kind of serious, so I kind of want us to keep a little bit of a tone. You can also, this year, for the first time ever, get the Spring Step Ephemera, which is a cool little walking thing. You can walk around and leave eggs behind you. It's really cool to look at. That's pretty much all I'm really going to say about it. If you want to test those out, of course they're only 5,000 credits. You can definitely purchase them and mess around with them. But we're going to jump straight into the War Within. I didn't really realize it, but this JPEG that they've got behind you here for this is really poor resolution there, but we're going to begin it regardless.
I'm afraid, sister. Your continuity grows anear.
Hush, worm. Let the beasts do their work.
But the dreamers have awakened. They will come for us.
Yes, they will. Like the answer to a prayer.
Tenno, are you alright? Your somatics output seems high.
I just nodded off. It's nothing.
Good. Deploy a Warframe to Lua. My sentries have gone silent. We may have an intrusion.
On it.
And so, previously we didn't really talk with our operator for any of the missions, but now from the quest going forward, our operator will be having his own little voice, or her voice, depending on which voice you've chosen. So, let's jump straight in. Not going to be talking, of course, during those cutscenes, just because it's much more worthwhile to see the story for them. I will be explaining things as they kind of come up. That was just a sneak peek into some individuals that we'll be seeing very, very soon. Skip over that.
It was here Margulis put you into the dream, tried to heal you, tried to give you the strength to tame the void within you. In a way, this is where you, where all Tenno, were born.
But we weren't born here. Were we?
No. When the Zeramin was found adrift, the Orokin did everything they could to erase their mistakes. Transit recordings, personnel logs, everything was wiped out. The only thing they kept was you. I'm detecting an unknown signature further ahead. Find out who it is and what they're doing.
So one major thing that I've done, of course, is I've just swapped out our melee weapon to the Galantine, as we'll be needing a more effective melee weapon in this mission. The Dextakara is not bad for it, of course, but a more effective weapon will be more useful to us.
I just saw the intruder, moving fast. I think it's Teshin.
Teshin? What is he doing here? It looks like he's heading to a reservoir. Follow him.
Leave now. This doesn't concern you, child.
Don't call me that. What are you doing here?
So we learn who our mystery invader is.
What was that?
The Queens.
Queens? The Grineer Queens? Tell me what...
I am warning you. You think you're safe behind this metal, but you're not. Not in the ways that matter here. Behind this, you're still just a child.
Stop saying that.
Follow me again, Tenno, and you will answer to my sword.
I thought the Queens were just an invention of Grineer Command. No one has ever seen them in the flesh.
I have a feeling Teshin has. Can you track him?
Not with Spectres masking him, but Tenno, we don't know anything about the Queens. Maybe Teshin alone should.
No. Teshin is not going to tell me what I can and cannot do. I'll take out a Spectre so you can track him.
And that you will. Its Spectre appears to have gotten stuck here, and I'm not sure why. You do need to get behind it so that you can actually hit it there. It should actually be doing damage. I'm not sure if... there we go. These frickin' corrupted are not being very helpful, though. Hopefully we don't die to the bloody Teshin Spectre of all things. There we go. Capture it just like we would a capture target.
I have a lock on his route. Exfiltrate when you're ready.
And now we can move forward. So, the Grineer Queens may have been mentioned previously by enemies. You might have heard the Grineer talk about their queens. But it was typically only in passing mention, and as kind of the Lotus stated, it was no one's ever seen them before, except for us. Very previously in that cinematic, we did see the Grineer Queens, guarded by those two large, round individuals, who are, they don't specifically mention, so I will talk about them. Those are the Kuva Guardians, or Kuva Soldiers, however you kind of want to really refer to them, doesn't really matter. They're enemies you'll find in Kuva Siphon missions, which will unlock after the War Within mission. And there we go for the first part of the War Within. So the major thing about this is this episode may be quite long. I'm sure you'll notice before I do, of course, as we're going to be doing these first two parts. We might stop before we get to the major meat of the quest, just so we can kind of break it up into some like episodic parts here, as this quest is quite long.
Teshin is trying to mask his location from us, but I have pinpointed a suspicious signal for you to investigate. Find him. We need answers.
And so we will. Let's see. War Within. Shouldn't be super difficult to complete the rest of these missions. I believe they're all very similar to the previous mission we just did. Track Teshin, capture Spectres, so on and so forth. Until we get to the main missions of the War Within, which we may decide to stop before, as I stated previously. But we'll see how we're doing on time by the time we reach that.
All my scans for Teshin have converged on this location. Find him.
Why hasn't he reached out to us? If he's pursuing the Queens, we can help him.
Pride or shame, he does seem to have some connection to them. Stay on the trail. Finding the Queens could give us a tactical advantage against the Grineer.
Understood.
Of course, the Grineer are a matriarchal society, if that wasn't explicitly stated at any
Picked
point.
up the trail again.
That's not Teshin. It's another one of his Spectres. He's trying to shake us off the trail. Capture that Spectre. We can use it to find the real Teshin.
So their queens, of course, being their high rulers, kind of command the Grineer in all regards and respects. The Grineer value women more highly than they do men, which does lead to some many of the Grineer leadership being female
Well
rather than male.
done. Return to your ship. I will alert you when I've decrypted this Spectre's control signature.
Alright, so we just go forward, and we track Teshin some more. I think that kind of covers most of the stuff I could talk about for what we've seen so far. Not a whole lot to really reiterate on. Of course, interesting to note that Teshin, of course, is the Conclave kind of
Teshin
leader.
Spectre points to what should be an unpopulated asteroid field, but deep scans show the presence of a security matrix. Someone is trying to hide something. I need you to find out what. Prepare your Arcwing.
Let's see. Okay. So, the next part we have to do is to pursue Teshin into the asteroid field. I don't know if this is the start of the long part. It might be. If that's the case, we'll just go through it here and hope that we don't get stuck.
Something is hiding in this asteroid field, but before you can investigate, you need to disable the security matrix. Ordis, are you certain this is the best angle of approach?
Well, outside this corridor lie burst scanners, severe radiation, proximity mines, Grineer death beams. So, yes, Ordis recommends staying within the shipping corridor. Operator, watch that transport ahead. The scanner is only able to scan one side at a time. You can use that to your advantage.
You heard Ordis. Keep the transport between yourself and the beams. Do not let them touch you.
If you do let them touch you, I'm not sure if you fail, but I do believe you definitely alerts the enemy to your presence, which isn't great. So once the ship breaks the beams, you can then cross through.
To the right of the ship.
And of course this is just basic Arcwing controls, nothing special here. My big recommendation, of course, is just wait for the ship to actually break the beams first. You can kind of see, and then it'll make a doorway for you to fly through.
We're going to scan the top of the transport. Get below it.
Simplistic enough, but if you haven't done it the first time, it might catch you off guard, as this mechanic never really comes back.
They still haven't seen you.
At least not that I've seen yet. There we are. Well, I would love it if that was the end of this section. It is not, so we must wait for that transport to come through here. We might as well preempt it by getting on the opposite side. Alright. So of course, the first time that this came out, the War Within Quest, everybody was extremely impressed as to all the different things that you could do in it, and all the different things that you've never seen before. This mechanic in particular is very visually interesting to look at. I would love it if they would bring this sort of strange style back. It's definitely interesting as like a small mission objective. It's not very fast-paced though, so I could understand why they probably wouldn't want it for normal gameplay. Which Warframe's all about being fast-paced.
This is the last scanner.
While the Lotus and Ordis are very impressed with my stealthiness, it's just ignoring beams.
Might I say, that was smooth, Operator.
Of course they had to sneak that one in.
Land at the checkpoint. This checkpoint is the central hub of the security matrix. Shut it down so Ordis can fly you in undetected. They're coming for you. Don't let them abort the shutdown.
And we won't. We'll destroy anyone who gets too close. So these Grineer, of course, are different than the average Grineer. These are Kuva Grineer. Kind of the royal Grineer, or the kind of highest capability of Grineer. It should be noted that a lot of these Grineer do far more damage than normal Grineer, and their weapons are of course different. Kuva heavy gunners, for instance, have a different weapon, and the Kuva lancers have combs. I think the Kuva heavy gunners have what is that? It's like a flak cannon style weapon. I think it's like a dragoon or something like that. The lancers with their combs, though, are far more dangerous actually than the heavy gunners now. The lancers' combs do ramp up in damage over time, so you must be aware of that. Thankfully, there's nothing massively difficult to deal with. Just popping every one of them. Our Vectus does more than enough work for any enemy we could encounter in the star chart. And thankfully, it also scales upwards over time thanks to our shot combo. Meaning we get even more damage out of it. There we are.
Any security.
Good. But we can't take any chances. Silence the remaining Grineer.
Done and
You are in
done.
the clear. Keep moving.
So, pull out our
Are
arc
you
again.
seeing this?
It must be Queen's fortress.
Are those Fomorian engines mounted on an asteroid? No wonder we've never been able to find it. It's always moving.
Exit the tunnel and get out of there. We need to analyze the intel we gathered before our next move.
Negative. I'm heading in for a closer look.
There is a lost transference distortion in this area. I recommend we report this mission and leave the pressure to reach out.
So we can, of course, commit here, which, let's see, or we can choose to abandon it for next time. You know what? We're going to commit.
If the base moves again, we'll lose this opportunity. I'm going in.
So when you do this, of course, make sure you set aside a good 30 plus minutes for what's about to happen. We're going to rush through this kind of as fast as we can.
The Queens have to be here. I'm going to infiltrate the base.
Major things to note is welcome to the Kuva
Lotus?
Fortress Zone.
Are you receiving me?
There are all new traps and triggers. These, of course, towers here that look kind of like camera scanners are indeed camera scanners, and they will activate turrets, which will attack you. That right there is a shrapnel mine, which if you step on it, it will explode. Best to avoid any cameras or shrapnel mines or any sort of other trap you can kind of see. I'm pretty sure those cameras are the major one, and the shrapnel mines. We are on our own, though. The Lotus's transference interference kind of prevents us from talking to her. The alarm can still go off if you don't activate a camera, of course, same way by enemies triggering it, but the cameras will just activate more traps, which isn't great. Definitely don't want to deal with any of that if we can avoid it. Oh, I'm just messing this up horribly. There we are. So this mission introduces a lot of new stuff. This Kuva Fortress being the main thing. And there's a lot of other mechanics it introduces as well, but we'll get to that in a bit. This kind of canister computer mechanism is also slightly new. So you'll pick up canisters from one computer and deliver them to the next. So we set off the alarm by hitting that camera there. All the traps in this area will be activated. Not super worried about that though. Those traps aren't massively dangerous to us as a rhino. Those turrets can do a decent amount of damage if you stay standing still though. So don't do that. And let's go. I think we are good to progress.
Lotus? If you can hear me, Something's tampering with the transference stream. I'm going to locate the source.
If you heard that voice just a second ago, I was slightly talking over it. You'll have to forgive me. Somebody's happy we're here, which might not bode well for us. We will see. Alright, let's get going. Rather than getting stuck in these bloody corridors. The Kuva Fortress is very similar to a lot of the maze-like Grenier structures, but it can sometimes be even more confusing.
For you.
I know this place. Teshin?
You shouldn't have come here. You have ruined us both.
Well done, Teshin Dax.
Teshin, Dax. You're with them?
I have come as you commanded, my queens.
And this is your offering? My sister needs the orphan child, not its infested puppet.
The child? For what purpose?
To eat it, of course.
Hushworm. Do not question your lords, Teshin Dax. Bring me the orphan. Bring me my Yuvan.
Enough!
How rude!
Oh, it's not their fault, Worm. Mummy and Daddy weren't around long enough to teach them any manners. We will have to.
Ordis? What is this?
Transfer and surge, operator. You're losing your Warframe connection.
You have some idea that you're invincible, don't you? Nestled away in that mad Cephalon's crib. But you belong to me now. For you see, child, we conceived of these ugly metal cysts.
Operator, cut the link.
I can't.
We gave you your precious gifts. And now, just as easily, we take them all away.
Cast the link. Transference overload in 5, 4, 3.
Interesting.
Great job, Ordis. Ship Cephalon? More like ship Failbot. When the operator needed you most,
Ordis,
you...
enough.
Operator? My stars! Don't do that to me! I am sorry. I do not know what happened. Please, command me to self-destruct. Let me start it for you. Commencing self-destruct in 5, 4, 3,
Stop.
2...
What's with the music?
Isn't it great? I can lead you through some breathing exercises.
Just turn it off. Get the transference power back on, okay? I lost my Warframe.
I've been trying. You may need to do your, Tenno thing again. Re-energize it. You know, with your void stuff.
And so welcome to Operator Mode. For the first time in Warframe, during the War Within, you get the chance to become your operator. If you ever wanted to be your kiddo, here you are. Ironically, in that cutscene, it shows Carrier Prime, but we do not have Carrier Prime. We have normal Carrier. I'm not sure why it does that. I think it may be a bug. It just kind of defaults to Carrier Prime, but yeah. So, of course, left mouse button kind of activates.
I can't. It's gone.
What? Gone? Are you sure? How will you command the Warframes if you're...
Conditions satisfied. Engaging Purge preset.
Purge? Purge what? Ordis, what the hell?
You no longer possess transference. You no longer command the Warframes. You no longer are the operator. You must be purged from this vessel.
Non-operator, I'm sorry to inconvenience you, but I'm going to decompress the ship.
As you can imagine, it's bad.
Ordis cannot keep missing like this. Get out of here before I...
Purge you. You are not the operator. You will be purged. Exterminate. Exterminate the non-operator.
And so here we are. After, of course, losing our ability to continue to use transference, we are no longer the operator, we can no longer control the Warframes, or just effectively purge the ship. And now we're all alone on a frozen, bloody mountaintop. So there was, of course, lots of information that was given to you right there in those small little tidbits. I hope you were keeping up and keeping track. The Queen's made inflections onto the Warframes themselves as puppets, because we control them like such. There was also, of course, inference that they were infested puppets, which does lead into the idea that the Warframes might be more biological than mechanical. But regardless, they are still puppets and controlled like machines. By us, the operator, but we're kind of unable to do that anymore. Just alone on a frozen mountaintop. I don't even know if you can fall off here, but I'm not going to try it. We're going to keep walking towards the wind so we don't get pushed off this cliff and die. We will probably get killed at some point. There are certain points where it's very easy to get one shot in your operator mode. As you can notice, we only have 100 health. And there are some things that just kind of instantly kill you in this little bit here. So don't get frustrated, just understand that it happens. So, previously when we had operator powers, we could use kind of our left click to activate like a void beam, which would damage our enemies. Sentience in particular. Currently we don't have that ability though. Just have the ability to walk. So welcome to Walking Simulator. This is Warframe, and this is what you signed up for. Hopefully this is kind of what you were expecting, or at the very least kind of knew was coming after playing Warframe for the amount of time I'm sure you did to get here. You'd seen other players playing as their operators, and you were wondering, oh, how do I do that? And this is how you get there. This is the first steps, of course, towards that. There is, ironically, an infamous, not infinite, but infamous glitch here, which can happen with this quest, which I really hope we don't get. I'll shut up for a bit, though.
What happened to you?
They gave up.
You betrayed me. You infested piece of...
Yes, do it. As I thought. The hard way, then.
So, the great Teshin is just a dog, fetching the Queen's stick wherever she throws it.
I warned you. Now you're trapped inside this place with the Queens burrowing in. Now I am forced to undo what Margulis did, to open the gates, and make you suffer.
So, one major thing to note, of course, is that Teshin is now apparently on the Queen's side, and that will be explained in the future. Should also be noted that there is lots of talk of the Zariman, and of course us as Tenno being aboard it. We were effectively, in simpler terms, aboard a ship which was exposed to void energies, which drove all of the adults mad. The children aboard, though, were changed. Some of them driven insane by the void energies, similar to adults. Others, however, became different, became Tenno. Let's see, so now we're getting to the part I don't personally like, but we'll have to deal with that as it comes.
Margulis lied to you. A lie of omission. She did not cure the Zariman children. She erased them. My only hope is that truth still lingers inside you, buried within your mind. The power and the misery of the void. The Ayatin sculptures are perpetually in motion. Monuments of Orokin continuity, immortality. But this one is halted and aging, needing you, as the Queens do. Will you give in to them? Or will you face the coil?
Well, there's no way to go but forward, so I guess we will face what comes. As such, the first time you get here, you may not understand that you now have your ability to void laser again there, but you do. And of course you void laser this. And down the pit with us, I suppose.
Remember.
Mother takes your hand and says there's been an accident. But don't worry, Angel, you're safe with me. Her eyes are distant, unfocused.
She's lying. She's lying.
ravenous golden maw.
Why does it have to be ravenous?
So I gotta give props to the operator there. They just, you know, pulled a jagged piece of bone out of their leg like it was nothing. Of course, now you've got this horrible limp, and there's definitely something down there. If you've ever seen the movie Tremors, you understand exactly how these bloody things work, and I hate them. I hate them quite a lot. They are a one-shot kill, so this is the part where it's very easy to die. If it catches you, you're dead. We will probably get caught at some point, and that's just a shame. You just restart again, of course, back where you previously were. Mind you, you restart at the beginning, so the biggest thing is you want to let these things get as far away from you as possible before running across the bones. Which, I do have to wonder, how many people died here? Like, this is a shit ton of bones. Like, this is like thousands of people's worth of bones. How does that work? Okay, I want to let it go over there first. And it's gone, so we're gonna run across here. You can shift to sprint, so just be aware of that. This is the preferred path I've used anyway, because I think this one gives us the most time to let it kind of come around and gives us space. As long as you're on a rock, you're safe. The second you touch the bones, though, you're no longer safe, so just be aware. Okay, so it's going to go over there somewhere. Right up here, and we're good to go. So even though we're very close to the bones and it will come very close to us, we don't have to worry we are on a rock. Ugh. Spooky. Spooky things. Okay, so now it's over there somewhere. We can run over here.
The queen burrows into your mind just as the creature worms beneath your feet. With
think we
each
can-
step, you will discover what Margulis took from you. With each step, pain awaits you.
The quicker you go in some of these parts, the better. The creature will slowly come up behind you and come to where you are, so don't be thinking that you can just outrun it all the time. I'm standing on like this little light thing here, and it's kind of weird. I think we have to let it get over there behind that thing, and we'll run over there and then to there. That is if I remember how to do this correctly. Definitely don't want to let it come, like, I know it goes over here a little bit, but you don't want to run when it's over there. Because it will get you. Yeah, see, it goes like over there. If you run while it's over there, you might have a chance to actually get away. But I've never had good luck with that. I'd much prefer to let it go over there first. Anything to put a rock between us and it. Okay, here we go. Run, run. Oof. Oh, look how close it was to us. Spooky. So now this is the tough one. It's the one where it's really easy for it to get you. Of course, it's like one of the last ones you have to make. We gotta run from here to there. Let's see. This is the one where we do want to let it go all the way over there first, though. Go, go, go. And yes, we made it. Alright. Criminy, I'm on the edge of my seat here. So now we've got to run from here over to there. But that's much easier because it will still continue to go the same path that it did previously. So as long as we let it go over there first, we can make it over here. Oh, come on, run. Run. Oh. Oh. Okay, so now probably the hardest part of this is over.
I can't even remember her face.
And by her face, of course, we're referring to our mother. So we've regained one of our abilities. We've regained Void Blast.
Your past has weathered Margulis's manipulation. It lurks here, your only hope of surviving the Queens.
So with Void Blast unlocked, if you right-click, well, it should be right-click. Maybe it hasn't actually been activated yet, so we get to the part where we have to use it. If you right-click, Void Blast activates, and we'll show that off here with this rock.
Destroy this barrier and go deeper into your past.
Sounds great, Teshin.
Forgive me, I forgot. It's not right-click, it's...
The air was acrid and still.
The biomes had been sabotaged. The food stocks dwindled. Paranoia gripped your father's mind. What was it he said as he stared out into the starless black?
Something's out there, kiddo. Watching us.
So,
Something's out there, kiddo. Watching us.
oh. Now that we've unlocked Void Blast, we can press Q a bunch of times to activate Void Blast. You can see that in the bottom right of our screen there is a little meter, that is our Void Power meter, effectively. The more we use it, the more we use of it, the longer it takes to recharge.
The whole ship went insane.
You exist on the fold between two worlds. The world we know, of blood and steel, and the world that watches and dreams, the void. Charge across the fold as you once did.
And so with the power of our operator, this kind of unlocks the most useful ability that the operators have, which is the Void Dash. So it says hold crouch at the top of my screen. I don't have a hold crouch button bound, so you can still use toggle crouch though. Just be aware that it is what it is. So when you are crouching, you can press space to activate Void Dash, which, there we go, that's a Void Dash. So we should also be going into the Void mode, but it's not showing that off exactly. So of course, the Ravenous Maws here won't let us pass easily, so you got to Void Dash past them. This is another easy spot to get murdered. If we were crouching normally and using our Void Dash, it would actually be fairly easy to drain all of our meter. I'm not sure if that's a bug that they've changed, or perhaps they changed it purposefully, so that we're not draining our meter the first time we're using our Void Dash ability. We gotta, careful. Don't walk on the bones. Anytime you hear those crackling noises, that means you're walking on the bones, and you don't want to be there. Let's Void Dash over here. So now we can Void Dash directly upwards. Void dashing is very similar momentum-wise to bullet jumping, so just be aware of that. I kind of want to let these them get slightly past us in case we need to emergency like Void Dash again. There we go. So now we can, this is where we'll have to perform multiple Void Dashes, and you can Void Dash as many times in a row as your energy meter will allow. So if you just hammer spacebar while crouching, it should work. There we go. That is our Void mode. As I stated previously, we should be actually going into Void mode. I'm not sure why we aren't there. Perhaps that's a change they made recently, I'm not sure. So we've been lucky enough to avoid all the ravenous golden maws until now, but that is what one of them looks like. Spooky things, are they not? Alright, so we got a Void Dash towards that, and boom.
I smell smoke.
Fires rage on the lower decks. Blood shimmers in the fitful light. Hunting parties roam the ship. But there is singing and laughter and play, for all the children have come together, their minds somehow unbent. You wipe away your tears, thinking...
This is my family now. My family now. They tore her apart.
The Queen is nearly through. She knows what you did, giving her resolve. Now, you must master the fold. Walk upon its edge, concealing your movement within the shadows you create.
Shadows I create. Another Teshin metaphor, right?
So this is actually the void mode I was referring to, which I'll show it off here. Crouch, and we enter void mode. While in void mode, you are completely invisible and intangible, meaning that enemies cannot see you, and you can walk through what would be hazardous to you. This part, though, can be a little bit buggy, so I do recommend that you wait for the ravenous moths to kind of go to a different direction before activating void mode and dashing across here. You can see that void mode does drain some of our energy, but we no longer walk upon the bones if we're in void mode. So we could actually potentially just void walk across these areas here. However, I kind of like to dash because it makes me feel a little bit better. So this is the tricky part. First time you come to this, it might be a little bit difficult. I've never actually tried just walking normally across here. In void mode, it just seems a little bit too spooky for me. I hate these ravenous moths. But you'll see why it's kind of spooky when we get there. And that is that this rock starts to sink. So we want to dash quickly across to there, and we're good. Whoa. So that little part right there where you walk across the bones for maybe a split second after that rock sinks into the bones, you could get grabbed if that Ravager is in the wrong spot. Or Ravenous Maw. But we're okay now. The hard part is behind us.
I can hear them.
The grown-ups are howling at the door, drowning mad in the void ocean, but you are at ease swimming within the depths. You remember then how the howling stopped. They had broken through.
And so now we come to our first moral choice here. So the whole point of the War Within is that it introduces this morality gauge. The top choice, of course, will be the sun. The middle choice will be a neutral kind of choice, which will give you the cross of sun and moon. And the bottom choice will be the moon. So it is kind of a good, medium, or neutral sort of choice, and then kind of a bad choice. But these don't actually hold any impact on gameplay. It's just this gauge will show up on your profile is all. So if you want it to be a certain thing, you can only pick it once. So pick it right. And we're gonna go with sun.
I held out hope we'd be rescued, so I avoided the bloodshed. I held out hope.
It's kind of hard to tell what these ghosts are if you really look at them, but it's almost as if that's like a Tenno, of course, grasping onto a Warframe. And I'm sure the other ones had like similar ghosts that you could kind of see, and I didn't really take a good moment to look at them, but anyway.
Your repressed power has returned, fused with your Tenno abilities. amplifying them. You've outgrown the cradle. Now your transference is innate. Control these Oregon beasts and escape this prison.
Control them. Like a Warframe?
So this is the part that's kind of, I want to say, strange. It's very easy to die here as well. As I stated, all these Ravenous Maws are all one-hit kills, so we're just going to go at it and hope. So you do kind of have to wait for it to come out, and then you have to stun it, and then you have to press 5 to get into it. So you do want to be out of void mode when you walk on here. It will come out of the ground. You stun it with Q, or at least whatever your melee button would be, and then you press 5 to activate it. And now we are literally controlling one of these Ravenous Maws. So we press crouch, or toggle crouch, to burrow into the ground, and make our way out of this wretched place. So there are other Ravenous Maws, and fight them, left-clicking at them. Want to get out of here. It killed me enough times. We only really have to leave. Once you leave, you're good to go. Simple as that. So that's all of our Tenno abilities. Here we are.
Know this, Tenno, that I am a Dax, a soldier of a lost era, the last of my kind. By Orokin hands, we Dax were given great power, great strength, but an even greater weakness. To obey their command, to never defy the Kuva, the scepter, the symbols of their dominion. No Dax can ever raise steel against an Oregon. Only you can do that.
Which, of course, if you remember the previous quest, The Second Dream, you would remember that Alec V made mention that the Tenno fought against the Orokin, and we did. The Tenno destroyed the Orokin effectively, and their entire empire, bringing them to ruin. Though there were other factions, of course, that helped us with that, or assisted in the downfall of the Orokin Empire, such as the Infested, Grineer, and Corpus. The Orokin Empire is no more, though there are definitely relics of their rule, such as the Grineer Queens. We Tenno are pretty much the last that you might be able to consider of the Orokin race. Though technically Corpus and Grineer are Orokin, they don't typically fall under that banner anymore.
A Yuvan theater, long abandoned. In ages past, I would have stood guard as the young and exotic were paraded through the mountain pass and marched by the viewing pane. They'd barter here, the Orokin, withering and coughing as they prepared for their continuity.
She doesn't want me dead.
No. The Queen doesn't want to kill you. She wants to become you. To burrow through your mind, corrupting it with despair until only she remains.
So you can see remnants of Kuva here. You can also see remnants of scepters, similar to the ones one of the Grineer Queens was holding. And Teshin, of course, was referencing the Orokin continuity. So continuity is the idea in at least Orokin lore that the Orokin would transfer their souls into the bodies of others, effectively destroying the other entity but taking over control of them, making themselves immortal, which is what the Grineer Queens want to do to us.
parasital monsters they had become. The endless void, the gazing abyss, the bottomless ocean of horror. It coiled itself around your tender heart.
I hated it.
Cut the link! Cut the link! Transference overload in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And so, as you'd imagine, that was all a dream sequence.
Operator, is that you? Your brain activity flatlined for a moment there. Can you speak? By stars, the operator's mind is destroyed.
I'm fine. Just don't play any music. I need to think.
Music? Operator, you are not making sense. The transference surge must have affected you as well. Try to rest while I begin repairs. This is odd. The circuits are dead, but I'm detecting transference energy. Coming from you?
So congratulations, you've now unlocked full operator mode by completing that little segment there. We'll be able to transfer in and out of our Warframe once the War Within is completed, but effectively this kind of shows it off. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about it before we Void Blast and continue on our little tutorial here. The major things to note is that the whole section there was actually a dream sequence inside of our minds. You'll see that it was based on an actual place we can go, or will go, but regardless, the whole thing with Ordis kicking us out of the ship, ending up on that snowy mountain, and the ravenous maws, and all the little things that just happened there, that was all in our minds. All mind stuff, but yeah. So, if you weren't already confused by this quest, that part can mess you up and confuse you a little bit, but let's just Void
Careful,
Blast.
Operator. You'll damage the ship. Damage me. Amazing. How are you doing this? It is slightly terrifying, if I'm honest. Operator, my sensors have gone dark. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Impressive. Very useful. Ordis is a little afraid right now. Operator, you'll breach the hull. Please, restrain yourself. Have you lost your mind?
No. But I've lost my Warframe. And Teshin. What if the Queens know that he helped me escape? I have to go back.
Impossible. Just as you thought, the base has moved again. We don't know where it is. There's no way back.
My Warframe. It's still there.
Haven't you been listening? The transference system is fried.
I don't need it anymore.
And no, we don't, because we press
Operator,
5.
where are you going? Don't!
I don't know why it's so lengthy this time, maybe it's the distance, but in the future it is of course instant. It's time to be a badass hero and save Teshin, because of course during that dream sequence he was helping us out, surprisingly.
What did you do, Dax? What did you do? How did a child reject the continuity?
Forgive me, my queens.
We hold the scepter. We command you. We are...
Sister, the dreamers come for us!
Tenno, no. After everything you've endured to escape, why did you come back?
I came back. For you.
Stupid child. You don't give up, do you? But coming here in the flesh? That was a big mistake. Gods! Kill this Warframe and bring me my new skin.
I think you'll find us a bit more difficult to deal with than that. So note that you don't have any abilities, but you do have your new
The braids protect the queen.
your new transference abilities. Oh, crimes. So we're gonna transfer out of our thing. We're gonna blast these guys because that makes them
By
weak.
the Kuva in their weapons. Find a way to disarm them.
Once they are weakened by our blasts, we can do some damage. Whoop. Note that if you get destroyed effectively while in operator mode, you just come back into your Warframe with a bit of transference static, meaning
Braids shield her.
Warframe
Destroy
has
them.
less HP. So we can destroy these braids that simply.
Kill this Tenno!
Oh boy. Transfer out. Bust these guys open. Chop them up. Simple as can be. Transfer back out. Switch back over to the braids. That's how this fight goes. The braids mean little to us.
Long enough have I lived in these ugly grenier bodies. I need new flesh. I deserve new flesh. Yours.
If you weren't used to it yet,
Kill
this is definitely the part where you'll have to get used to
Bring me my new skin.
transferring in and out of your Warframe to use its abilities, use the abilities of your operator here. Again, while in void mode you are incorporeal, meaning that attacks don't hit you, so you can dodge attacks by going into your operator mode and then going into void mode. That makes you invincible effectively for the duration of your void mode. But let's destroy these last braids and be done with all of this. Well, as long as our amp will hold out. There we go.
By my auric and blood, I command you, Titian Dax, to kill this Tenno!
No, I cannot.
You must, by your oath eternal.
That child I met on the mountain will surely die here.
That child is gone.
I can
And so-
show you no mercy. Show me none in return.
Similar to his specters, he is
From the moment
Weaked
I
behind.
began training you, I have anticipated this moment. You must not stop. Defeat me.
as such. He will block most of your attacks, but you must just kind of pressure him.
Go on.
He's alright, he's not dead, he's just down for the moment.
We created you. We are your golden lords. Come out, little demon.
Without her scepter, she is powerless. Break her shields, and use your dash to steal it.
You'll pay for that.
So we break the shields. Ah, crud, we need more energy. You can dodge as a 10-0 if it would activate here by pressing shift, but we're gonna have to get there in a second. We need our energy to recharge. You do want to avoid those beams, they will destroy you effectively. So we need to blast her effectively when she attacks. There.
Yourself, you little coward.
Actually, we need to let her attack first and then dash towards her. Forgive me. Blasting isn't important. Oh. Missed. There we go.
What are you waiting for Dax!
A chance to kill you. And now, I finally have it. Shall I, Tenno?
No. I firmly believe that out of all the options here, let her rot is probably the best one. As previously stated, Grineer are in constant state of decline. They rot slowly over time. So rather than worry about killing her, let's just leave her be.
No. Let her rot. That will be her sentence.
Rallied the troops. Get to your ship. I'll divert them. Go.
So of course to note, while in operator mode,
Tenno, I've been trying to get through. Are you alright? Your transference stream seems different, stronger.
We have neutralized the Queens. Teshin. Teshin helped me. I'm heading to extraction now.
The Queens, they cut me off. I should have been there for you. I'll signal orders to pick you up right away.
so of course as I stated previously, while in operator mode, your Warframe is invincible, so you don't have to worry about it dying at any point. You're 100% okay for just leaving your Warframe behind and letting it just sit there.
You're going to skin suit. I have plans for you. Delicious plans.
Silly little worm. She's not very big threat, neither are any of these Grineer because we can just run by them.
Get that thing! Don't let it escape!
She thinks
Thank the stars
she can
you're
control
safe,
that.
Operator. I forbid you to leave the orbiter like that again. It's just too much for an old Cephalon like me.
Good old Ordis worrying about us. But it seems we'll be leaving the orbiter quite often from now on, thanks to our new found Tenno abilities. And so we leave to go back to a very familiar place, one we've actually never been, aside from maybe in a dream.
You rescued your Warframe. What a relief. But Ordis wonders, are you still able to walk the ship as yourself?
Of course we are.
Impressive. Just think of the possibilities. You can help me clean up that infested door.
I don't think we'll be doing that anytime soon,
A
as
mother
it
wants to
provides.
shield her child from the evils of the world. Margulis didn't lie to you. She protected you.
But isn't it better I know the truth? Wouldn't you want to know? Teshin said...
Teshin thinks he knows better. Maybe he does. Maybe you needed to know to survive the Queens. But you are changed now.
That's what you have to say? That I'm changed?
What you did, you didn't have a choice. Tenno, you were only just a...
Don't. Don't do that. Don't make excuses for me.
What's this? An old war beacon? How exciting, Operator! You will want to investigate this. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt?
So the infested door, of course, behind there provides a lot of the biological needs for us as a human being, or Tenno in this case. So we won't be cleaning that up anytime soon. But we can still walk around our ship, and we can still use operator mode in missions, and we'll show that off shortly. Whenever you use operator mode in your orbiter, your operator will come from the transference chair rather than your Warframe itself. While in a mission, though, your operator will transport to your Warframe and kind of come out of them. So let's go to this old war beacon. Very familiar mountain path that we walk here. Very familiar indeed. This time though we are stronger, and we come with a scepter. So of course we have on our back the scepter the Grineer Queens were using to control Teshin and claim supremacy. Wouldn't want it to ever fall into their hands again, of course, because it would mean that they could once again control Teshin, and without it, Teshin is free of their influence. Alright, I think we can deal with this quite easily, thanks to our new Tenno abilities. No longer are we able to go up the side, we must dash forward. Seems our old friend at his campfire is still here. And we can open these doors ourselves. And move forward. Thankfully we don't have to deal with any of the ravenous maws in this part, otherwise I'd be kind of upset. This bloody one-hit KO things. But we do have to deal with this thing. So, it is not bound by any icicles this time, but it is unpowered, so we need to power it up. Of course, thanks to our Void Dash ability, we can just dash towards these. Make it up this perilous platform. Up to this door, which is our main goal. And here we find the peak.
You don't know what to do with it.
Tell me.
Some believe the Kuva within is the blood of Orokin ancestors. An elixir of power, of immortality. Others believe it to be a poison. A corrupting oil that brings madness and evil.
What do you believe?
I believe them both. But for you, Tenno, perhaps this Kuva is just a symbol that what you choose to do will define you more than anything.
Well, as you could imagine, what my choice is going to be, we will not control it, we will not consume it, we will choose to destroy it, and be done with this dark legacy.
You mad at me, kiddo? Did you forget? You owe me. You owe me.
The world weighs more heavily on you now. Try not to lose yourself, Tenno.
And so concludes the War Within. So now that our mortality gauge has been chosen, we cannot change it. There are other quests we can do which will potentially allow us to influence it, but I think we'll continue on the good path on this side, or the light path. Just because I like those responses a little bit better than the other ones. This completes the war within. Hopefully we don't get the glitch. Don't glitch out, please. I'm crossing my fingers and my toes. Come on. And we didn't glitch out. Yay. Oh, thank heavens.
Operator, Ordis has been thinking. Now that you are here in the flesh, we should make the orbiter more comfortable. Ordis has identified an old storage space you could use. Stand by while I
Torch this junk.
dispose of my old belongings. Out with the old and in with the new, right, operator? Construct this domestic habitation segment to extend life support to your new room.
So this unlocks, of course, the personal quarters segment, which we will try and build as soon as we're able to. And thanks to being a child no longer, I'm just going to let you guys read that if you want. And so we get the Broken Scepter, which is a weapon that our Warframe can use. It's a staff weapon, which is a very effective one. It also has a special ability that it can consume enemy corpses to turn them into either health or energy orbs, which is pretty good. We get the Orvis Blueprint, which is the weapon Teshin used. It's a glaive weapon. It's not too bad. When it kills enemies, it makes them become specters. But I've never actually built it. You have to farm the Kuva Guardians to get parts for it, so never really bothered with that. We got our first Riven mod. We got the Grineer Queen's Glyph. And we got the War Within choice scene. So if you ever wanted to go back to the peak and do some Captura, you can do that. That completes the War Within. So with the completion of the War Within, we have a bunch of stuff unlocked, the main one being, of course, the Operator mode. The morality gauge has now been added to our profile. If you ever replay the War Within, you do not change your morality gauge, so note that the first time you make those choices, they are important. Now that we've unlocked our Operator mode, though, we can come in and see our Operator. And our Operator now has access to our focus trees. Of course, you had the access to these previously, but you could not actually use them. Now, as we gain focus, which we'll kind of go over in the next few missions that we kind of do, orbs will spawn effectively, like little yellow orbs will spawn, and as you gain experience, those will also help you gain focus. We also need to get a lens to make that whole system work, but there are other things we can do to gain focus to give us access to this sort of stuff, like fighting Eidolons and that sort of thing. But yeah. So the major things that you'd want to probably unlock, as I stated previously, is Energy Pulse and Energizing Dash. Both of those are fantastic, and we'll probably work towards those in the future here. But we do have access to our Operator, which means that we can now... I don't know why this scream happened, possibly because we just finished the War Within and we haven't started a mission yet. That won't happen every time you transfer. But... now that we have our Operator mode, we can fight Eidolons pretty effectively, though our amp that we currently have, our Energy Beam, is not super effective against them, so you may decide to construct a new one, but we can go into all that sort of stuff next time, talk about more of that later on. I will show off real quick the Broken Scepter so you can see its stats. It's a pretty good weapon. There's nothing wrong with it. You can, as I stated previously, upgrade it the same way you would a staff. It's pretty nice. It does come with an Oricon cast installed, just like the Broken War, so that's pretty cool. Let's switch back to the Dexter here. And I don't think there's anything else we have to worry about aside from that personal quarter segment, which we will have to construct. Let's see, so it's under miscellaneous. So we need an Archon Crystal and some Tellurium. Argon crystals, of course, from the Void, and Tellurium are from Arcwing missions, and our missions on, I think it was Uranus. So we'll have to gather that up at some point. Maybe I'll do that off camera at some point, who knows. Regardless, that will have to be done, because we will have to unlock that to gain access to some other quests later on. But until next time, when we continue our adventures into this weird universe that is Warframe. Goodbye.